We got to correct the car because it's 4 inches longer than what it's supposed to be to run that class. So we shot 4 inches off the front, put it back together again. And then went out and we started running very good with the car. High 140s, and then we broke 150 with it, which was, again, getting close to the record. I think at the time it was 155. And at that time, you had to put a parachute on the car. Because anything that ran over 150, NHRA said you had to have a parachute. So we said, where the hell are we going to get a parachute? So somebody said, Canal Street sells surplus. So we go down to Canal Street one day, and we bought a 16-foot ringside cargo chute. And we're coming home, and I'm talking to Charlie. He said, Charlie, we don't know if it even works. It's a surplus parachute. Is it going to work? So he says, pull over. So pull over. He takes it out of the bag that we had in it. I'm going down on Peninsula Boulevard. He throws it out the back window. And here's his parachute, but dragging, just out behind the car. And I'm looking, I'm saying, see, it doesn't work, Charlie. And all of a sudden, it caught. It almost dragged him out of the rear window. He was halfway out the window before he let it go. So, all right, we know the parachute works. So we put it on the car, we made a mount for it, and we went out to Iron Dragway, and I'm going down the track, and I pulled the chute, and why the hell did it come out? So finally it came out, but I was almost at the turn. So I said, Charlie, something's wrong, it's not working right. So a guy comes over, and one of the guys that directs, he says, you don't have a pilot chute on it. I said, what the hell is a pilot chute? He said, it's another chute that goes, the last thing packed in there, it's a small chute, but that'll come out and open the drag chute bigger. So we put that, and that was great, it worked for us fine.
Wow.
Then we went to, we had the record at ADCO, and then we were down at Reading, Pennsylvania, running, and we broke the record again, but at that time you had to have a backup within 2% within a week. So we called, I had a dragway from Reading and talked to Eddie Kowalik. I said, Ed, we just set the record, but we have to back it up. Can we come up to your track? And he goes, how soon can you get here? I said, well, leave right now. He says, well, I close at 5. So we got up there about 5 after 5, and he says, I kept the people here because he said you were coming. So I made a backup run. We got the official, I filled out the certificate and sent it in. We got the record there for, I think it was maybe 160 at the time.
Wow.
And then we went out to Indy in 1963, and we didn't do good qualifying or anything like that, but we were having trouble at the time with the motor. We couldn't keep bearings in it. Like every run, I'd have to get under the car, drop the pan, inspect the bearings. And I'm under the car, it's up on a trailer, I'm under the car pulling the pan down, and a guy comes over, he says, what are you doing? I says, can't keep bearings in. He says, you don't have a block off? I said, well, what block off? He says, it's a little thing you put in the main oil gallery. He says, Mylodon makes it. It costs $5. We got that, put that in the car. Never had a problem with bearings after that.
Wow.
But at that meet, the guy came over, Jack Chrisman, came over and he said, you guys just won the award for best appearing crew. He said, you're all dressed in white. He says, you guys look like you never touched the car. So we got a nice, huge trophy for that, probably about a 4-foot high trophy. And then came 64. We were running really well, and I set the record again, and then we went out to the Nationals again, and again I just missed qualification because they came out with the lights then. Before that we were a flag guy where we started running with the Christmas tree, and the car was always a bad start. I needed a long push road to start it. At Indy you only had about 300 foot, so it swung me around, I'd get the car started, but it wasn't on the clears. Pop, 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 pop. And I pull up, and not paying attention, I pre-staged, and that sets the light to come down. So here comes the green light. My guy I'm running against, he's out, and I'm out a second behind him, but he beat me, so I was out. So normally they would have record runs, and that year they weren't going to have it, but there were enough guys, us included, that complained that, why can't we run for the record? So on Monday, Labor Day out there, we ran for the record. We set the record again at 165 miles an hour, 9.3 seconds. So we got a nice
Four different times. Though.
Yes. So that was good. And then drags were starting to get the big play because we were doing good. We won match races with the car, won $200, $250. Charlie said, let's build a dragster, another dragster. So we got a built chassis. We didn't build this chassis. We bought the chassis from California, and we put it together, and we were running top fuel. And I said to Charlie, you know, it costs us just as much money to run the Alton with the gas money, and we only make $250. When we went with the dragster, which we did quite often, would be $1,200. So I said, why don't we put a fuel motor in the Alton? Okay, that's what we did. Put the fuel motor in the Alton, and we went up to Sanford, Maine to run, and the guy said, we don't have an Alton class, fuel Alton. So I thought, okay. He said, but in order to, I'll put you in dragster. You'll be as a CC fuel dragster. Okay. I make a run. The guy comes running after. He says, you know, you just set a new national record for CC fuel dragster. Fill out another application, send an NHRA, and we got another certificate. So, and in the meantime, we were starting to show the car, and the Playboy Club had opened in New York, and a guy came up to us at one of the meetings, and he said, would you bring that car in to the Playboy Club and display it? I said, well, I said, the problem, I said, well, he saw the dragster. He says, could you bring the dragster? I said, the problem with the dragster, I said, it's bigger, I need a bigger trailer, and I said, it's going to take up half a block. I said, but I have the Alton, you know, which was parked over there. I said, I can bring this car in, and that's what we did. We brought that car in. We had the bunnies come out, take pictures with it. And then, like I said, we started going more and more with the dragster, and we were doing pretty good, making good money. Not setting records, but we were competitive. And in Division I, which is what we were running in here, and Division I covered from like Maine down to maybe South Carolina. we were fourth, tied for fourth in point standings. With the Roadster, I was top standing on it. And then, what next? The car was running really well, running out of Hampton a lot, and we were featured like, when they used to, at National, they'd say Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, you know, match racing. And I was running against a car from the Bronx called the Brewmaster. So the first run on Friday night, Charlie says, feel him out, see what it's doing. So we get down, he beat me. I said, I come back. I said, Charlie, I got him covered, no problem. He says, all right. He says, stand on the next run. So come up to the line. And we didn't do burnouts at that time. You just came up and you went. So I go down the track and I'm going, I just see the guy back here. I'm coming up to the finish line. I go for the parachute, and the lever was here. Before that, we used to have a parachute on a D-ring. We pulled a D-ring. Charlie said, I'm going to mount it on the chassis with a lever. I must have run 20 times, no problem. But that night, I go for the lever, and I hit it with the back of my hand, and I knocked the lever this way, and I go. I look up into the track, into the woods, upside down. Open my eyes, I said, oh crap, I'm on fire, because everything was red. So I pop my release, I'd fall out, crawl in the car. The parachute had come out, and it was like a shroud over the tree in the car. And of course, you know, Charles said, now what happened? I told him, you know. The next week we were supposed to run in Englishtown for the regionals. So Freddie the name, the guy was Broadway Freddie. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of him. He was quite known at that time for being a crazy guy. Later in life, he was part of Murder Incorporated, unfortunately. He's in a book, in a book called Murder Incorporated. He's written in Murder Machine. Anyhow, he says, hey, you can take my car, put your motor in it. That's what we did. He had a beautiful California dragster with lace paint job on it. Put our motor in it. We went to Englishtown. I made about 3 qualifying passes, maybe in the low 7s, because we weren't running in the 6s yet. Everything was just maybe 200 miles an hour, maybe 699. So I ran 2 runs at 704. On my 3rd run, I go through the lights and I see something fly up. I think, oh crap, I threw a blower belt. I make the turn, you know, because the parachute came out, make the turn. Here comes the safety safari. And my partner said, you all right? I go, yeah, what's everybody doing? He says, you lost the nose of the car.
Oh, jeez.
When the guys put fuel in it, they didn't turn the Zeus fast and lock them in. So as I went through the lights, that flew off. So Freddie said, don't worry about it. He said, that's only a piece of plastic, I can fix it. So at that time, my partner was not having problems, well, he was having trouble with his wife. She didn't want him to keep going with the car, you know, working weekends and nights and being away on weekends. So Charlie said, I'm going to get out of it. So we sold the car, and I started to drive for another guy from Oceanside that had a Purple Gang, and had a nice dragster. It was actually faster than ours. I started running in like 240, 250 with that in the mid-sixes, and we were out at National, had a big meet, regional meet, and one of my qualifying runs, at the top end, I get out of the car, I see water running out on the car, on the ground. So I said, Tony, what the hell, you don't have bolt-in freeze-up plugs? He said, never had a problem. I said, crap, put that on there. I said, for tomorrow, will you? Yeah. I come back Sunday, get in the car, warm it up. My first round, I'm running Tommy Ivo. So I come out of the hole, boom, get about 300 foot out, also. Oh, car's almost lost it. So I get down the top end, pop the chute, get out and look, water running out of the car again. I said, Tony, I said, you didn't put the bolt-ins in? He goes, I didn't think I would need that. I never had a problem before. Okay. So going home, I said to my wife, I said, you know, it's not fun anymore. I feel like I'm working for somebody. I'm going to the track, qualify the car. We won a lot of races with it, you know, split the 60-40 on the payout. I said, but I think he's going to get me killed, you know, stuff that he's not safe enough in my head. So I said to him, I don't want to drive anymore. He said, oh, George, I'll fix that. I said, no, Tony, that's it for me. So I stopped driving in 69, and I didn't go to the track again until I took my son there, I guess about maybe 2004. We went to Englishtown. And we're watching the races. That's when I used to, you know, the guys would, I don't know, I guess bracket racing, I don't even know what they call it, but they'd shut, the guy would be out in front, all of a sudden he'd shut down the motor, you know. Or he'd come off the line, and then stand. I said, guys can't even come off the line the right way, you know. And they said, oh no, they do that in special ways because they gotta run in a certain time area. So, not my kind of racing. So, like I said, I didn't go with too much, and then I met a fella that only lived a couple blocks from me. I don't know if you know his name, Dennis Quintone. He's a Corvette guy. Very, very good with Corvettes. He called me up one day. He says, George, I'm getting a bunch of dragster guys together. 2 weeks from now, we're going to meet at Wantor in the diner. He said, would you be interested? I said, yeah. He said, I got about 15 guys. A guy coming from the Bronx, another guy from Jersey, a guy down there. Yeah, good chew to fat. He calls me up about 3 days later. He goes, I got a problem. I go, boy, he said, that 15 guys grew to 75 guys. He said, I got guys coming up from Florida. And, you know, we had whoever you think that could racing guys. We had Merkel there, we had Coney Island Ralph, Vinny Tarantola, Eddie Aiken, all the guys that were, if you want to say racing from, if you want to say my era, from the 60s to the 70s. So we had a great time. And then Dennis was running an Alta at the time, so I started hanging out with him. And in the meantime, a fella called me, I guess about 2005 from Arizona. And he said, are you George Snyder? I go, yeah. He said, you used to own Pacers all over? I said, yeah. He said, well, you did a motor for me back in '64, just before I went into the Navy. I said, he's gone. I said, so he said, no. He said, I want to build your car. He said, I'm a retired fireman and policeman, and I want to build a car in honor to the men that were lost in 9/11. I said, well, that's great. I said, that's really nice. I said, I'm not into building cars, you know, I'm done with that. No, I don't want any money. He said, if you had any pictures of your car, he said, I want to do it exactly like your car, which that was the car he wanted to do. So I said, fine. So I flew out to Arizona with a scrapbook like this with pictures. He built the car. I said, what are you going to do with it? He said, it's a cackle car. And I said, what the hell is a cackle car? you know, I've been out of racing, I've never heard of a cattle car. He said, all we do is we start them up, take them to a show, and we start them, you know, race the engine a little. I said, oh, that sounds pretty good. Well, okay. He said, yeah, we're going with the car. And about a month later, I get a call from him. He says, guess what? He said, I'm going out to California, he said, to Frank Hawley's driving school. I'm going to get my license. I said, you need a license for a cattle car? He said, no, I'm going to drive. I said, Jerry, how old are you? He said, I'm 65. I said, you're going to drive that Alden? I said, that's not a car. I said, how many times have you been down to Drag Street? He said, well, never. I said, Jerry, I said, believe me, that's not the kind of car you want to start with. Long story short, he has the car made, finishes it. We debuted it at Bowling Green. So they tell him, look, you're a new driver, you can only run the eighth of a mile. Okay, you know, so he does his burnout, goes down the track, straight as an arrow. You know.
It's the National Hot Rod Reunion
Yeah.
and the Good Guys show at the same time.
Yeah.
The place is packed.
So we get down there.
Yeah.
I'm following him in the golf cart. I get down the shut-off area. He gets out of the happy. Oh, George. It went straight as an arrow. Oh, it's terrific. I said, Jerry, you know how fast you went? No. I said, here's your timing slip. 58 miles an hour. I said, here's your timing slip. So later in the day, they said, all right, we made that run. You look like you're doing right. I said, Jerry, I said, you don't know what it's going to do, like, you know, when you really get on it. So meantime, the guy that was wrenching the car says to him, start and load. It's got a power glide. He said, start and load this time. Okay. So again, I'm behind him in the golf cart. He does his burnout, backs up.
All four wheels off the ground.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought he was going into the stands with the car. So now he's at the top end. I get there. He's sitting in the car, and he's going, I didn't know where the hell it was going. I said, Jerry, with an Alden like this, I said, you can be sure the most common thing is you don't know what it's going to do. I said, you don't go that fast the second time down the road. So we bring the car, we had it on for show at Raceway Park, and Jack Beckman came over and looked at it Saturday. We got pictures with Jack sitting in the car. It was a nice looking car. I said, Jerry, well, what are you going to do? You can't drive it. He's going to get my nephew to drive it. So his nephew, who had a Corvette that ran, I guess, the high nines or low nines, or but had been down the drag, was a drag racer, so he started to drive the car, and he drove it there. I guess out there they run in New Mexico, they have outlaw class for Aldens, fuel Aldens, running on alcohol. And at one time in the year they go to Route 66, and they close down in Flagstaff. They close down the street, the route. They close down the route right through town.
Kingman,
Arizona, right. They closed that down, and they had 8-mile drags. So the first year they went there, he did real good. He goes back the second year, and his nephew, the driver, comes out of the line, hard left turn into the Jersey barrier, bounces off, screws the car all up. So the kid was all right. So he says, don't worry, I'm going to build it again, you know, put it back together. So they did. And he got if you want to say, a professional driver from out in Arizona to drive the car. And they ran New Mexico and Tucson, Arizona, and those were about the 2 tracks. And then he ran the car, and then he called me up one day, and he says, broke the motor. I said, well, that's another thing you're going to run into. He said, but I'm going to put a Donovan block in there. I said, well, Jerry, that's big bucks, really big bucks. He said, yeah, but I might as well go for the right stuff. So, anyhow, about 6 months goes by, and he said to me, George, you want the car? I want to get out of it. I said, oh, I'd like the car, Jerry, but you have no motor. He said, no, I'm going to put a motor back in. It'll be a running car. So I said, yeah, I'm interested. He said, it's got your name on it and everything. So I said, let me talk to Scott. So I said, Scott, should we get involved with the racing again? He said, yeah, let's do it. I said, well, you got to get your license. So I told Jerry, yeah, I'll take the car from him. He gave me a real good price on it. Got the car in the trailer, brought it to Long Island. I was lucky able to sell the trailer, and we have the car now, and that's what we've been running. Scott's been driving. He got his license down at Frank Hawley's. If anybody ever wants to find out anything about drag racing or learning to drive, that's the place to go. I don't care who you are, or how good you think you can drive, or how, guarantee you go there, you'll learn something that you never yours. Such a smart man, I'm telling you how to drive a car, and how to think when you drive the car, and what not to think of, and what to think of. And it's just, I mean, I made a lot of trips down the direction, but I drove, like I said, from 58 to 69, and I started with an e-gas car. I went to the alternate, a couple of dragsters, top fuel cars, fuel alters, and I enjoyed it so much that I went down the next year, because I never drove a rear engine direction. I went down to Frank Hawley's the following year.
80 years old.
Yeah.
No, really?
For my 80th birthday, to
Super
drive,
contracts.
to drive a super comp dragster rear engine car. And I tell you, it's so different today from when I drove that, you know, it amazes me what you have to do, what you have to learn. And it's not just getting the car and drive, you know, you gotta know how to burn, what, you know, how long to do a burnout, and you back up, what gear you're gonna put it in when it's gonna be a neutral, especially with an automatic transmission. And it's really eye-opening, but it's a great thrill. I really enjoyed it. And, he had a good time. It's funny, when they first put me in the car, the guy that's buttoned me in, he said, ever drive one of these? I said, yeah, I drove a top fuel car. He said, how fast did you go? I said, well, the best I ever did was 235. He says, well, he says, this will be good. You won't go that fast. He said, but you'll see it. But like I said, you have to go in stages. First you go like 200 foot, then you go 400 foot, then you go 600 foot. And then if you're doing everything the correct way, then you can go balls out the next time. So I made 6 runs, and I said, what am I going to do? I could have made 2 more and got a license. I said, but at $400 a run, I said, what am I going to do with a license? Put it in my pocket and say, here, I got a top, you know, I can drive a competition car. I'd rather save the money and put it for Scott when he starts to drive. So that's what we did. And then we ran the car. We had it at a couple of shows, and we, you know, won first place with the car. And last year, we were up at, well, the year before last, we were up at Lebanon Valley, and we were there. We made a couple of burnouts, because we wanted to see how the car off the line, because we hadn't really run it.
We were basically still testing the car.
Yeah.
But during the show, I told Dino, who's the promoter there, he said, what do you want to match race against? I said, Dino, we're still testing the car. I don't want to be match racing anybody right now. I still got to do some hits on the car, make sure that everything is good with it. So he goes, all right, we'll do some exhibition runs. So we did 1 or 2, 3, just making sure the car came out, doing 8-mile hits, and everything was good about it. Sunday comes up, and come out there, ready to do the same thing again. We're like, during the day, we said, you know, during the later runs, we're gonna test the chute on the car.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a full pass with it, doing the quarter mile.
Yeah. Well, we have 2 GoPro cameras, one facing forward, one facing to the back. Because I said, put one to the back so we can see how well the parachute comes out. So Scott makes his burnout, comes back, and I said, all right, let's see what it's going to do. All out on an 8th mile. Okay. He goes, the car's going straight as an arrow, and I hear, I'm saying, shit, that's an 8th mile. And I still hear the motor, still climbing. I said, what the heck's going on? Now I see the parachute come out, and the car, I still hear the motor climbing. I said, what the heck's doing? Then finally, silence. Get down there at the top end. He made it all the way, he used up all the whole track past the finish line, down the shutoff area, and just able to make the turn before the end of the track. So I get down there and I'm saying, I'm driving, I said, what the hell could I have him break the return spring? There's 3 of them on there. How can you break 3 of them? So I get down there and I see the car, I see the butterflies wide open. I said, Scott, what the hell happened? He said, the pedal went past the stop. So it went past the stop
behind
and it locked it. So it kept it wide open. And it took him a couple of seconds to, you know, all right, let's pull the parachute, shut the fuel off. But it was funny because we came back and everybody's going, oh yeah, everybody's yelling. And one of the track guys goes, he says, the owner wants to see you. So Scott says, oh shit, he's going to chew me out, you know. So I said, where's the owner? He's up in a tower. So Scott goes up there. I says, I'm Scott, I was driving the guys. Very nice Scott. Scott said, well, I didn't mean to go. He says, no, what do you mean? He says, everybody's on his feet, you know, great, it looked great. Scott said, well, I actually had a problem. He says, yeah, but you're all right. Scott says, yeah. He said, everybody was on his stand, and the stands were on their feet.
What happened was, when I came to the 8th mile, you know, I let off the throttle, and all of a sudden the thing is still going. So I'm like, oh. The first thing I did was I hit the chute, because I was told by our crew chief, that car's doing anything you don't want it to do, get out of it. So I got out of it, but I had never thrown the chute. So I hit the chute, and it's still going. Here comes the quarter mile, boom, past, and I'm like, oh crap. Now I don't feel the chute hit because I'm still on the full throttle. So now I'm like, let me shut the fuel off so no more fuel's going to the motor. And I got to the middle of the lane, and I figured I'd go back and forth like this and use up all the real estate down there. And it comes fast. So the motor finally shuts off, and you know, came over. I'm on the brakes hard, and I feel the chute hit. So poof, back end of the car goes up, and you hear until I came to a stop. And I just got around to the side, because the sand traps were like where the camera is. And I get around to the side, and I stop, and I'm like, what the hell? Why did the car shut off? And I'm looking, I didn't see anything wrong with any of the linkage. And I look down, and I'm like, I can see the pedal stuck, the throttle stop like that. Safety Safari guy comes up to me, and he goes, I got one question. I said, what's that? He goes, did you shit yourself? He goes, I think I did. He goes, man. He sits at the turnoff after the quarter mile. So he's sitting there. Now, I was past him, and I'm way down at the end. So it took him a while to get there. It took longer for these guys to get there because they were down at the starting line. But yeah, so we were kind of joking about it, and Jim Walters, he's a top fuel champ. I saw him the following month down in North Carolina, and he comes up to me and he goes, puts his arm on my shoulder, and he walks with me. He goes, so how'd that feel? I said, yeah, it was a little scary. He goes, yeah, but you weren't scared. I said, no, there was a reality to the situation. You don't have time to be scared. So he goes, I knew you were going to be okay, because you know, when you're at the end there, and the Safety Safari guy comes up there shaking like this, he goes, you're totally calm, cracking jokes with them. I said, yeah. I said, I just knew something was wrong, and I just had to get the car stopped, you know. And he goes, I'm going to give you the nickname 3 quarters. I said, why is that? And he goes, because you didn't do an eighth of a mile. You didn't do a half a mile. You did 3 quarters of a mile. So he goes, I'm going to call you 3 quarters. I said, all right. And our crew chief had said when we came back, first thing he says to me, he goes, what are you running, Bonneville? But that was the September of 2017. And then we went through the car, made sure things were good with it, made sure, first thing that we changed was the throttle stop, make sure that was done. Then we started going through the car, made sure the motor was all good. The following year, it was the same meet, coincidentally. Go out there, and now the car's feeling, it felt really good up until that point. So the first run that we made, we hadn't been out on the track all year, so it was kind of rusty with things. Get backed up, and I was backed up a little crooked, so when I came out, the car was like, wah! And I'm like, wah, 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 wah. Got out and just coasted down. I was more pissed than anything that the car didn't go straight, and you know, it was embarrassing in front of everybody like that. So we got back there, we got all the jitters out. Next run we went out, same thing. Did a nice burnout, came back, and launched the car. And the car wanted to go to the right, and it did a wheel stand about this high. Came down, like, pop, 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 got out of it. Coasted down, but at least I felt better, knew what the car was going to do. Come back around, get towed back to the pits, go through everything again. Then we had a problem that day. We lost the brake lines on the tow vehicle.
My tow truck, yeah.
So instead of going out for another run, we're like, we got to how we're going to get the brake lines done to get back home. So we had blown a line out, and one of the guys that was there does brake lines. So he basically told us what we needed, went over to the parts store, came back the following morning, did all that, and then got back into doing the car. The comes down to the exhibition runs were late in the day, so it was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Go out to a really nice burnout, the place is packed, back it up, I'm all ready to go. Come out, go out about 300 feet.